In the 60 years that Doctor Who has existed, an almost endless lineup of characters have graced viewers' TV screens, their headphones, or in the pages of comics and books. Some of these characters go on to be some of the most beloved in the entire franchise, namely the various Doctors and their companions, and a selection of the many villains, such as the Daleks and Cybermen. However, for every winner, there are smaller characters that only pop up a couple of times, figures we don't know too much about, or whose history may seem more complex than at first glance. One such character, and our focus for today, is this being. This is Adelphi, a serving member of the High Council of Time Lords. But who is Adelphi? What were his interactions with the Doctor? And did you know that you've seen him pop up more than once? Join me as we travel back in time to learn all about this mysterious Time Lord. Before we dive in, I want to say a big shout out to Captain Jimmy Pie. I saw him post about this over on Twitter, and it was honestly something I'd never really caught on or noticed before, so I want to cite him as the inspiration for making this video. So go and check out Jimmy's channel. He makes a series of great videos over there, so head over to Captain Jimmy Pie and hit subscribe. Adelphi is a Time Lord of the Archalian chapter, and served as a councillor on the High Council of Time Lords under its then Lord President, Pandad IV. More notably, he was one of the three Gallifreyans to be part of the tribunal of both the Warlord and the Doctor. Alongside his contemporaries Sokra and Goth, Adelphi helped to capture the Warlord after being alerted to his abhorrent activities by the second Doctor, who used a hypercube to notify his people. Whilst interrogating the Warlord, Adelphi was able to showcase the might of his Time Lord powers, causing immense pain to the villain after his refusal to speak to the tribunal. That power was further demonstrated when the verdict deemed him guilty, and Adelphi, together with his colleagues, sentenced the Warlord and his associates to dematerialization, wiping them from existence. Now that's pretty brutal. Adelphi's eyes then turned to the Doctor, then in his second incarnation. After pleading his case and criticising the Time Lord's long-standing policy of non-intervention, the tribunal sentenced him to a life of exile on a favourite planet of his, Earth. A regeneration was also carried out as part of the sentence, with the Doctor profoundly rejecting the initial selection offered to him. Adelphi, Goth and Sokra were left with no choice but to force the Doctor's regeneration, exiling him to late 20th century Earth in his brand new third incarnation. If you look at the credits for episode 10 of the War Games, you'll notice that the name Adelphi is conspicuously absent. Instead, what we do get is a credit for second Time Lord, played by Trevor Martin. There's more to both this actor and this titling than meets the eye, but we'll come back to that a little bit later. Fast forward to 1971, Doctor Who is now being made and shown in colour, the Doctor is firmly established on Earth alongside his unit family, and Season 8 has just begun, featuring a new companion, a new villain, and a familiar old foe. Why we've settled on Terror of the Autons is because Adelphi returns for his second appearance in the programme. As the Doctor investigates some strange goings-on at a research centre, a mysterious figure materialises out of thin air into, well, the air. It's quickly established that this person is a Time Lord, one that the Doctor has a familiarity with. The tribunal is mentioned in their short exchange, but again, like the War Games, the name Adelphi is not referenced once. It's certainly not the same actor, as Trevor Martin has now been swapped out for David Garth, who is credited simply as Time Lord. So based on this 3-minute scene, how can we reasonably conclude that this incognito Gallifreyan is indeed the same man as the one who sentenced the Doctor? Well, for some help, we must reach into the realm of books. The Target series of novelisations started up in the early 70s, becoming wildly popular as classic tales made their way to print. Terror of the Autons was released in this format in 1975, and its author, Terrance Dicks, provides a bit more context to this encounter that the Doctor has with his people. It's revealed that this messenger was indeed part of the tribunal that sentenced our hero to exile on Earth, but amazingly, any specific name is once again withheld. But the dots are slowly starting to connect. So let's now make our way to Adelphi's final televised appearance on Doctor Who, with Colony in Space. The penultimate adventure of Season 8, this 6-part story saw the Doctor take his first trip off Earth since his exile, although he hadn't merely regained his freedom just like that. The opening scene of the story centres on 3 figures, whom on a distant planet are fretting over the loss of plans to what is referred to as the Doomsday Weapon, suspecting the Master to be the prime suspect. They decide to temporarily restore the Doctor's freedom, sending him to Yzarius to find out just what the Master is up to, thus beginning a frequently recurring tradition of the Time Lords periodically sending the Doctor off-world on a series of missions. Now, this scene is short, barely lasting a minute, and once again, the credits refer to these 3 men as simply Time Lords. The follow-up info we need once again lies within the pages of a Target novelisation. Doctor Who and the Doomsday Weapon was released to bookshop shelves in the spring of 1974. It references the second Time Lord, which is the title given to the figure back in the War Games. But now we've exhausted this character's TV appearances, what piece of media was it that provided full context to just who Adelphi was? The year is now 1985. Doctor Who has recently concluded its 22nd season, but sadly has begun an 18-month hiatus from TV screens. Fans could rest assured, though, that adventures would keep coming, whether via Target books, a slowly expanding VHS range, or within the pages of Doctor Who magazine. First released in 1979, DWM was celebrating its 100th issue. Within the pages of said issue was a brand new short story penned by Gary Russell. Titled The Legacy of Gallifrey, it provided tons of new information regarding the backstory of the Time Lord's home planet, and indeed their origins and how they came to be. Within these pages, it was where the name Adelphi first cropped up, alongside his role in Time Lord society that I mentioned earlier. Gary names him alongside Goth and Sokra as the three tribunal members who sentenced the Second Doctor. As it explicitly stated that Goth and Sokra were separate to the Messenger, who would later visit the Third Doctor on Earth, we can reasonably conclude that the Messenger was indeed Adelphi, albeit having regenerated since his first TV appearance. This explanation could also be attributed to the second Time Lord seen in Colony in Space, assuming Adelphi had once again regenerated. I'd say this link is a bit more tenuous than the one for Terror of the Autons, but I'm willing to consider it a possibility. But one last question remains. Why the name Adelphi? Well, Gary Russell, who would become known for his knowledge of Doctor Who and the continuity references he would cite, was simply paying tribute to the original actor to portray the character. Trevor Martin's links with the world of Doctor Who didn't just end after the War Games. In late 1974, he would star as the Doctor himself in a brand new story made for the stage, Doctor Who and the Daleks in 7 Keys to Doomsday. And the theatre where this production was based was none other than the Adelphi. A nice clever little nod to an actor who went from playing a small role in one of the most important Doctor Who episodes ever to becoming the Doctor himself for a brand new audience of theatregoers. Trevor Martin would reprise his take on the Doctor when Big Finish Productions adapted the stage play to audio in 2008. Now, with continuity, there's always going to be conflicts as the years go on, particularly in science fiction. One such conflict appeared in print during 1994, in a story titled Prisoners of the Sun, which was part of the Decalogue series. Written by Tim Robbins, after the Doctor defeats the dastardly director Helios, Adelphi spoke with the Wardens of Sharda, the infamous Time Lord prison, requesting that they release the Master, in order to keep the Doctor busy on Earth. An interesting development for sure. It would explain why Adelphi seemed so flippant and uninterested in actually helping the Doctor after giving him warning of the Master's arrival on Earth. In the audio realm, Adelphi appeared in Shadow of the Past, released in 2010 as part of Big Finish's Companion Chronicles range. In this story, Adelphi appears before the Doctor and Liz Shaw inside the TARDIS, after the Doctor requested the Time Lord's help in dealing with the Mim. So in summary, Adelphi has had quite the long life for what was originally a minor role that lacked a name. It makes you wonder when and where they will next appear in the wide scope that encompasses the Whoniverse. For Trevor Martin, the man who originated the role on television, he sadly passed away in 2017, but his role hasn't been forgotten. And it certainly wasn't forgotten by Gary Russell, whom by connecting the various dots laid out in space, was able to create a nice little slice of ongoing continuity for one of Doctor Who's most inconspicuous, yet oddly memorable characters.
Oh. Good luck.
Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it, and let me know down in the comments below, did you know this interesting backstory about Adelphi? Or were you like me, did you just think these were 3 random Time Lords that popped up from time to time? I've been Adam Martin from AMTV Who. Subscribe to us if you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time for another trip in the TARDIS.